Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the Soil Health and Sustainability for Field Office Staff Training. This is our second cropland site on day 3, so welcome. I'd like to introduce Dallas Wright. He is the farmer of this property out here. And Dallas, would you tell us a little bit about what you do as far as the crop rotation, your management, and different things out here on this farm?
Well, I do crop rotation. I plant soybeans one year and then I follow it with corn. So then when I plant the corn, I put on potash, 200 pound of potash per acre. And then I come back with the planter. I run like 14 gallon of starter fertilized. And then I put nitrogen on it, side dress it with nitrogen. And basically, that's it for the fertilized part. And then of course I burn it down before I plant it. And then I come back and post spray it with Roundup and Harness Extra. And just pray for rain.
Pray for rain. Yeah, yeah. That's we are on a dryland site compared to the last site which we were on, which was irrigated. So we do expect to see some differences, obviously, in yield because of that. Yeah. Now, as far as planting your crops, how do you plant your crops?
I have Kenzie 12-row planter that I use for corn, and the same planter for soybeans, but she's got the drop. The units on back of her on front of her that'll drop down and makes you 23 row.
Okay.
They plant the beans in 15-inch rows.
Okay. And is that a no-till drill?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Yes. All right.
Yes, everything's no-till.
Everything's no-till on this farm. Okay. Now, do you use any? Obviously, our area's poultry's king in Sussex County. Do you use any poultry manure on this farm?
I don't use it anymore.
Okay. Okay. So you're not.
I used to, but I got out of it.
Okay. Gotcha. The other question I had was, do you use any type of, I noticed that the stalks are pretty cut up. Do you mow your stalks? Do you use a turbo till or a vertical tillage type
I use a turbo till.
Okay, so you don't mow, you just use your vertical.
No, I don't mow, just use turbo till.
Okay, and I know when we were talking the other day, you said you had planted your cover crops for this year, so tell us what kind of cover crops you typically use on this farm.
I use wheat just about on all of it.
Okay. All right, I think that covers all the kind of the management background. Is there any questions that you had for Dallas before we go out into the field and start looking at soil health indicators for this farm?
How many years have you been in no-till?
I'm gonna say 2022 at least.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That will help us compare it to the other site.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, you've been long-term no-till.
Yes,
for sure. Gotcha.
How long have you had this field, been farming this field?
I think this one was like 15 years.
And it's been in that same rotation all that
Yes.
time? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, no more questions. Well, Dallas, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate you, sticking it out and farming. I know, I've known you personally for a while, and you've been doing it for a long time. So, yeah, we do appreciate that, and we hope that you hang around with us for a while and kind of see us.
Around a few minutes.
Okay, I know you're busy. So I appreciate your time. I do appreciate your time.
Okay, so now we're at a new field, and you guys kind of have a lot of instruction and a little bit of experience with infield soil health assessment. So we're going to let you folks. I'll give you the tech note, and we'll be here to help you through this, in any way, shape, or form that you need it. But what we're going to have you do is just work your way down through this infield as a group, or you can split it up into chunks. However you want to do it. A couple of you can do, like the first couple parts and, the above ground stuff, and some of you could do the below ground stuff. And Carl did get us a nice example of some soil from over in the grass area. So you can see it's got some pretty decent aggregation in it when it was under grass compared to our tree area. So you can use that for your slake and whatnot. And I'll give you the sheets, and if you don't have this farm site sheet, it does have the soils map on it, and it looks like we're in the same type of pepper box again, so that's kind of handy, so you can remember what we looked at last time. And you can also kind of mentally compare what you saw before, because the person we was at before, Jay's place, he had a very complex rotation with a lot of different cropping species in it. And here he called it a rotation corn and beans, but it's really just kind of more or less a back and forth. It's not really cyclical. When we look at corn and beans, it's a pretty simplified rotation, because we've got big windows of 8 months at least where we don't have anything growing in there. And I don't believe he said, did anybody get,
Yeah,
did
he
have
did
cover
put
crops?
wheat
He is
cover
doing the
crop.
wheat. That's
Yeah.
right. He was doing wheat. So
Yeah.
he has the wheat in there. And so if you dig, maybe look a little bit on the surface for some wheat seed if you see it, since he said he worked it in with the turbo till, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll give you guys the booklet on how to do it. Whoever wants it. I think we might have two. I'll give you this. Did you find some? Yep. Cool. So it's there.
I think we're in pepper box again.
Yeah, we
pepper
are.
box
Yep.
again.
Mine, you're real close to.
I'll give you the instruction sheet, because you've got you're doing the official scribing. And here's the soils information. Have added. I think we've got adequate amount of water. And in that box are that little slate cup I got, and also the bowls. And you've got the soil knife. And here's the color book. Yep. So we'll just kind of help you out when you need it.
All right, so what's the first one?
Soil cover.
Soil cover. All right, so what we want to do is stand and kind of look straight down
Yep.
to do that estimate. Do you have the big tech note, Karen?
He's got.
Oh, yep. So it's,
Yeah, there are some picture examples in there of different types of residue cover, and they are specified, unfortunately, for corn and beans. But at least you can kind of see, if you lay that down a little bit, you can kind of get a gauge of what it looks pretty close to.
yeah, and there's two methods. Candy, I think you mentioned this earlier. You can actually take your
Tape.
tape measure
Yep.
and put it out 10 feet, and then at each half-foot mark, you can say yes or no, and then depending on how many yeses you have versus no's is what your percentage is out of that 10. So you can do it that way as well.
Yep.
But in our Delaware soil health card, we actually have very similar images, but they're blown out
Yeah.
a little bit more. So, but you can kind of look at this and see that I would say
Set it on the ground and
Yeah.
kind of get an idea too,
I would
a little
say
bit.
it's probably closer, to maybe 50% than it is to 75%.
When was the last time you all had a rain event here? Do you know?
It was this last Saturday. He had a
Last
half an inch
Saturday.
on this farm.
And when did he say he went out here and put the seed on in this turbo till? Was it before or
he-
after?
I don't think he did say
He never
specifically.
said.
He didn't. I know.
I would assume it looks like after, right?
He harvested it.
Otherwise, you'd see some seed sprouting.
Yeah,
possibly.
he harvested the corn last week,
Okay.
and then he come back out here earlier this week and put the cover crop on and turbo tilled it.
Okay.
So he
So
was
he-
just out here with the turbo till.
Okay. So then we're not gonna see, that surface sealing as much because we don't have any precipitation to make it happen.
Yeah,
That'll be
this
hard
was
for-
done after our last rain.
Yep. Yep.
So it's somewhere between 50 and 75%. I would say it's probably closer to, if I had to pick a number, I would say 60%. So what's our
75 is it
Yeah.
greater than 75% estimated? So the answer is no.
so it's no. Okay. So
There's
what-
also CTIC makes, if you have those old cards, the old residue cover cards, those are kind of handy because you can lay them down on the ground. They're a full, about this big, of the actual residue percent cover.
Gotcha.
And that's another way to do it if you don't happen to have the old string with the knots or a tape, whichever the case may be.
All right. So what's the next one, Jonathan?
The next one would be residue breakdown.
Okay. So residue breakdown.
What are you guys seeing? So in that packet, it talks about, a crop seeing its third birthday. So we had corn here before, and before that was beans. Do you see any corn stalks from that previous season? I see some bean residue here and
Yeah,
there,
I
but
see
bean
some-
residue breaks down pretty quick.
I see bean.
Because he's done the mixing, it's hard to
Yeah.
tell whether or not that has occurred. Sometimes you can dig a little and you'll find some down below, you know. You might see it just buried in that upper 2 inches because that turbo till disturbs those upper 2 inches. You might see a little bit in there. But since he's got the cover crop that he puts in, you may not see it. I mean, you might have some decent cycling, but you know, it just depends on what it looked like before he did this turbo
That's
till.
probably
That'd have been
last-
the best point.
That's probably
Time to
last
see it.
year's candy right there.
So it's small and,
Yeah,
and
it's
a
small.
bit.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, you see some very small pieces
Or
of
year
bean
before
residue.
last. But you don't see very much soybean at all.
No.
I mean, so
Yeah, and that could be from him doing what he just did. That'll break it down quick, so keep that in mind. So what do you think? Would you say he's a yes or a no, or maybe a maybe?
Probably a maybe.
Yeah.
Put it in between.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. How about your next one?
Next would be surface crust.
a lot of our soils at least in my experience, we don't see a lot of crusting
Yeah.
here.
Unless they're doing full width tillage.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you know,
They could take it down to like a powder for it to really crust up.
yeah. So we typically don't see crusting here, and it's definitely not here.
Right.
But like you indicated, Candy, obviously he's been through here recently with the turbo
Yes.
till. So
Yeah, and so if you came here in the spring, what do you think you'd see? You know, we'll have wheat coming up through there, but you may see just a little bit in between those rows of wheat. And I don't know, was he doing his wheat on the 15 inches like he does his
no,
beans?
he just broadcasts
He
it
bro-
here.
oh,
yeah.
duh.
Yeah, he just
I'm cluing
broadcasts
in.
it and then turbo
Sorry,
tills it in.
I have a
so.
mental break.
So I mean, personally, I would say no on crusting on this site.
Okay.
You know, just
Yeah.
our experience. You know,
I have
Alright.
rhizo sheaths just for reference.
oh, on your corns, yeah.
So for roots, you're already digging. Okay, ponding, infiltration. Same soil type, what do you think?
So can we do the little modified version
Yeah,
where we just dig
do
the
it.
hole?
Have at it. That'll be neat to see. So you don't go very deep, you're just
No.
taking just off the first
Yeah,
surface inch?
just take off the first couple inches.
Okay.
So say about 2 inches deep.
Well, here, if you want to be precise, sir,
Yeah.
there's your precision right there. That's at 3.
Yeah, so it's about 2 inches deep. So, you know, and obviously the other thing is what the soil texture is going to make a big difference on, you know, how quickly it should move through the soil. Now, of course, this is the same soil that we had at the other
Right.
site. It's a pepper box, so it's a sandy loam. We would expect the infiltration rate to be pretty high, you know, based on the soil texture. So you can go through the whole process of texturing, you know, using the chart as far as, does it ribbon,
Right.
you know, does it make a ball? Does it fall apart? You know, Carl could
say it
probably teach all that all
falls
day
apart,
long, you
doesn't
know. But, you know, I'm just, for the sake of the site, knowing that it's the same soil type as we had over there, that's a sandy loam, so. Now you can do this with the infiltration ring, and which we do have available as well, and the saran wrap where you fill it up and then pull the saran wrap out, you know. So.
Yep. It's one of our indicator tools for ponding is the ring.
So somebody can start a timer for me.
Now you say that.
Sorry. Got it.
She's got it. She's got you covered.
So we can actually physically sit here and see it going down. So
So you're in a just offset from a row, it
Yep.
looks like a
yeah,
previous
so we're
row.
actually between the rows of corn.
Yeah. Is it a wheel track is a good question. If you can tell. With the mixing, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things you can do while your timer's running is you can move on to your other ones
Yeah,
while you're
so-
waiting for infiltration. That's the nice thing about the infiltration
let it
ring,
sit.
someone can kind of keep their eye on it, and the rest of you can move on.
We got a few flags.
Yeah, it says slide or no resistance with wire flag inserted to 12. So half the distance of the flag. You're not getting it. So it's different than our last site, isn't it? So you're
Let's-
checking a no?
Let's measure an average.
Okay.
Chelsea, grab that flag and do another one. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of walk around and keep at it, because you never know. You'll hit wheel tracks, you'll hit.
Like, of course, never mind. Here's a big one.
Yeah, so that's a foot.
And then you can average them from
Yeah.
however many that you do.
I think I got 13 minus.
Yep.
Haha.
A little less, about 10 inches there.
It might be over that 12. You got a 13, a 12, and
Yeah, that's almost a 15.
it would be over 12.
It's bent. You know, I always tried to, don't really try to like grab it and force it in. Kind of just, kind of hold it lightly and just
Press.
press
So you feel those little
until you feel that
hits.
resistance.
Yep. And it looks like technically where you are here, where you guys were testing, he's driven over this, and you can see there's some definite flattening. So you could be in just a bad spot right there. So always keep that in mind where you're going and what you're looking at.
Yeah. So I would say somewhere between. Yeah, I would say somewhere between 10 to 12 inches.
So maybe it's a yes.
Probably no
Yeah.
maybes. It's kind of
You want it to be a maybe, don't you? Because he's done a little bit of work here.
But
yeah.
I guess that's a good point. Is he's got a 20, almost a quarter of a century history of no-tilling this field,
Right.
even though he's using, of course, probably the event of the vertical tillage obviously wasn't in that time frame.
No.
So
It's recent. So what's going to happen if he keeps this turbo tilling up over a period of 10 years?
good to get less.
Yeah.
so you might see
You're
now.
going to see a 2-inch compaction zone, which he never had before, generally with the turbo till.
But-
And that's something Mike Plummer up in the Illinois area before he passed away, and a lot of the work that he did found with the vertical till is that they were starting to get those 2-inch plow, till layers right at 2
But
inches.
I guess the funny thing is for me here is you're not seeing that kind of that historic pan that you normally find on other sites here, at least not in this area generally anyway. So but I mean on the old moldboard plow, Jonathan, I mean they were going down, typically it was 8 inches, so the fact that we're not really getting that resistance still further down from there, it's kind of surprising. But I mean, I would mark it a yes, that it's that it's good. But that's a good point, Candy. Is he backstepping over time by using that
Yeah.
vertical tillage?
I mean, that's something he needs to keep in mind, and maybe not
Stop.
incorporating
Stop,
all
Karen.
Timer.
Timer.
4:53.
Okay, so it was less than 5 minutes, and we're probably sorry, Candy. I didn't
No,
mean to
that's
interrupt you. So he's
Yeah, I mean, we're within that range. Soil infiltrates 1 inch of water in 30 minutes or less, so he's okay there. So your next one, water stable aggregates. So here's where you get to use either the sink strainer. It's
All right.
it's been pretty dry, so you could even collect a piece off the surface if you want to. And then someone can take the other shovel and dig a hole and look at some structure.
Have we got enough water there, Candy?
There is a bottle of water here too. I don't know who's been drinking this. But
And the spray
You wanna
bottle is full
forfeit it?
as well. So we might be
we
okay,
might be
Carl.
okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do this one. Like I said, dry clods work the best for that one. I would just use the sink strainers if you can. So just BB size particles, don't mash them. Just collect what you can and just very gently break them up in that till it gets almost to that top. Just let it break how it wants to. Jamie's gonna dig the mini pit. That's pretty good. We'll fill up there. Fill up what we can with the water. Wait, take that out first. You could have had a giant wreck there, sir. There you go. Just
We have a special way of measuring it.
just set it, best way is just set that in the box so you don't, because of the residue, you don't, that way you don't lose it. Yeah, and you don't need to leave it forever, just get it good and saturated. And then just collect you some from the surface out of his pit there you can get off that the upper
Yeah, there you
inch
go.
to 3 inches. Best is right below the surface.
So that would be blocky again, right, Jamie? At that point?
Yeah, I would call that blocky.
Took this one out. We don't want it in there forever.
But I mean, it's
Yeah.
Look at the air drops out of there.
yeah, that is sandy though.
Pretty nice.
That is really sandy.
That's just the area around.
Yeah.
Get all that air out. All right. I think she's pretty good. We'll take it and just.
Yeah, it is got
Splat.
some moisture to it.
Oh, we do see a difference. Let me get out of the way.
I got new feed.
The cloudiness of the water before this one's
Yeah.
cleaner.
So that was your good, and you can just see quite a difference. So we saw some, yeah, you see some slaking. You lost quite a bit through the sieve because of that sand too. So you can really see a pretty good difference in between. And then look at the water runoff from your where you were in the over here in the
That was how it gets
yeah
because it's,
too.
remains intact, a little cloudy.
Pretty
all that
nice.
water's muddy.
Yeah.
So we did get a bit of breakdown compared to our
So that would make it a no because it says clear water and that water's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty dirty.
And that comes directly from this immediate
Yeah.
stirring that we occurred, and the lack of poultry litter. You can see has done a little bit of a difference here compared to the other place where he did that same technique, but the poultry litter helps temper that a bit, so that organic carbon there is really helpful. So what's your next one on your list?
Soil structure.
All right, what do you see?
All right. So I pulled a little block out here. Of course, you know, that top 3-4 inches is kind of granular. Yeah, you know, it's got a little bit of blockiness in it, but you know, you get down to 4 inches or so, you start getting pulls apart in those larger, what I consider kind of blocky chunks. So what we might be seeing on the surface is him going through here with the turbo till, the vertical tillage, because it, to me, it was kind of set a little bit more aggressive than what we saw at the previous farm. So what we might be seeing on top is that mixing from the vertical tillage tool. Yeah, and then, but underneath that, it's kind of got that blocky structure to it.
Yeah, the official soil series description says in that 0 to 4 inches, it should be weak, medium, coarse granular structure, very friable. And then when you get below that, 4 to 10 inches, weak, coarse, subangular, blocky structure. So it doesn't fit really
Yeah.
well with what the soil series says. So the only thing that we have the discrepancy with this soil series is the color.
Yeah. And this,
And I'm not sure why that is.
Yeah.
Might be an old mapper, just their decision at the time.
so we really got blocky structure is really what we've got.
What do you think for your sheet then? So the question is in that surface layer, granular surface soil structure, no platy or massive structure in the top foot of soil. It's not quite a foot, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's in the 8-inch realm. What do you think?
There's a little bit of blockiness to it.
So would you check it yes or no?
I
If
would
we
say,
look in the,
I would say no,
yeah,
because
I
it's
would
got
agree.
that blocky structure to it.
in our instruction book, get past color, it says structure should be observed for granular, massive, or platy structure within horizons of the top foot of the soil. It can be assessed at any time, but may not be useful after full width conventional tillage. Soil structure will be damaged after tillage and give a false positive towards granular structure. Comparison to the official description may give you an indicator of the potential that soil has. And then it talks about granular, massive, and platy structure. So I don't know if I would call it mass full width tillage, but it was a full width type of tillage. So it could give you a false positive of granular in the surface.
And that's
but-
what we talked about, that
Yeah.
granular, that's what we felt. So
Yeah.
I would say it's a no, that it's blocky underneath that granular structure.
Sounds
So,
good. Next is color. See what you get here compared to the last slide.
according to our state soil scientist, 10YR is where you always start. Here in Delaware anyway, I don't know about Maryland, Carl.
We had a lot of 10 and 5YR.
Yeah. Did you break that open a little bit? It might have got a little.
Broke it off the side of that.
Just, yeah, break it open. And kind of get that, you might want to shift a little bit, get that sun over your shoulder a little bit.
I did. I don't know. Karen, give me a backup on this. 3, 2.
If you need to, we can
Yeah.
wet it.
Yeah, we've got the spray bottle, don't
Yep.
we? Let's wet it a little bit.
All right, let's do that.
Because it's got
go.
some moisture down below, but it's a little dry on top. Not too much, dude.
Feels nice.
Changes it a bit, doesn't
Yeah,
it? Gets a little
My
darker.
eyes are crazy right now. 2, 3, 2, Jamie.
move it up one.
I think you're about right there.
Yeah, so that's a
3, 2.
3-2. Yeah, which is what we had over on the other site as well. Yeah.
How come this is close to his? How many years has he been doing this turbo till? But how many years has it been in no-till? 20 years. That's a long time to build some good color, over a period of time. So that might be why. So what do you think if you came back here in 5 years and he's continuing to put the cover crops in and is continuing to do this bit of turbo till? Do you think it'll be close, or do you think it'll be a big departure?
I can still stay close.
I think you're right, because he's got that wheat. So you've still got labile carbon that's feeding the microbes and is still kind of tempering that. What if he eliminated the wheat and we were doing this regardless? Yeah. And I think in 5 years you probably see it change, at least for sure, one step up on there. It could oxidize quickly in sands.
Biodiversity.
Did we see
I
any?
haven't really seen a whole lot of
Any
birds.
worms?
I've seen one earthworm and a grub
Okay.
section over here.
So here's your sheet of different critters. There's quite a few different ones to choose from. Do you see any saprophytic fungi? Any white duff?
Yeah, well, the only problem
the
with
turbo till
it
just
being
You destroyed it, didn't you?
Knocked off.
Okay, there you go.
I got worm holes.
you got some.
And then think about your biological hotspots. Do we have all 5? Remember those 5 biological hotspots? Bad thing is we're looking at this after he's harvested it, so it's not before planting, and we haven't had an overwintering, and right before then. So we may have lost, the cover that he would have.
I would say diversity is probably there. I mean, because we're still finding stuff after it's been recently disturbed
Right.
pretty heavily. So.
And it just takes digging some more of these small, taking some more shovel slices out and looking, within those slices for anybody that's kind of moving around.
Found earthworm holes right that's the next one for the.
Biopores.
That's the next one for it. So yeah.
They might just be
You think-
a little deeper.
Yeah, I just know when we were over at Jay's, when you had this out, I mean, you would see, but even further down in the soil profile, you know,
You
you
were
could
finding
see
them.
you were finding more earthworm channels and stuff
Did you
like
find
that.
some ants? Okay, ants count. Remember, they're ecosystem engineers. So those are good. There's one. So you found one live guy.
Well,
We had
Paul
a-
said he found a grub and an earthworm.
Okay, so do we want to count grubs? It depends on the grub.
I mean, it's a macroinvertebrate.
It is, but if it could be, you know, it could be a predator or a pest grub. So you kind of got to take a look at it a bit, key it out a little to see if it's a carabid beetle. Yeah, it'd be a great grub. But if it's, you know, from some of the you know, melon beetles, those type of things, he doesn't have that in his rotation. It's probably not an issue like our other place. But yeah. Be aware, just be cautious of grubs. That's all I say. And the June beetles kind of are equal opportunity. You know, you find those a lot, mostly under trees, but you do find them out in the crop fields, and they're okay. They're not the best thing. I mean, we don't call them, oh boy, we've got soil biology because we found some June beetle larvae. I mean, you got to take into consideration the other suspects that are in the soil. So that is biological diversity. How are you going to rank her? 3 or more types of observed, or all the biological hotspots are present. So do you have aggregate surfaces, porosity, roots?
And even for the disturbance that's been here, there's still quite a bit of activity.
All right, you were going to mark her yes?
Yes.
Okay. How about your biopores? Presence of multiple intact root or earthworm channels that extend vertically through the soil with some connecting to the surface.
Yeah, Karen said she found some earthworm holes in a.
Okay, and our
Goes back to the tillage that we just had that would have destroyed anything that was right up top.
Right.
take out a root ball and see how deep it goes, and see if we got you know, those roots like they were going straight down. How's that look?
That right there was.
You figure that was your soil surface right
Yeah.
there.
She got a good 6 to 7 inch root there.
Looks nice. That's another good place to find, you know, critters if you're looking for them. So yeah, if you're here, you know, by yourself or you're with the farmer, just dig up a bunch of root balls. Someone may be there. And if they're grazing, look under manure pats. For me, that's the 6th biological hotspot, manure piles. So count up all your yeses and your nos, and then if you flip over your sheet to these handy dandy little,
So
I don't know what you call these,
There was
these
a
little
maybe?
diagrams.
3 no's and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Decision chart.
7 yeses.
Yes, this,
But you'll have to compare off of each of the categories because it depends on which ones you marked yes and which ones you marked
All right,
no.
so
They're
the
not.
first one, soil cover, was a no.
Okay, soil cover. Well, I guess maybe we can say. So first one we got ponding, infiltration, penetration resistance, water stable aggregates, soil structure, and plant roots. How many yeses and how many nos out of those 5?
Ponding was a yes.
Okay,
Penetration was a yes.
okay,
You said the soil stable aggregates was
Yep.
a no.
okay.
What was the last one? Soil structure?
Soil structure.
Was a no.
Okay, how about plant roots? That was a yes, wasn't
Yes.
it? Okay, so we got 3 yeses and 2 nos. And the very first question for compaction, is the surface platy? If it is, it's an automatic. It's not.
No.
Or 2 or more indicators do not meet assessment criteria. So we have 2, don't we? So there could be potential issues for compaction. So we may have a bit of problem. So you could check compaction on your front side of your sheet. Okay, now we got again soil cover. Is that yes or no?
It was a no.
Okay. Residue breakdown.
Maybe.
Okay. Surface crusts.
Was a yes.
Okay. Water stable aggregates.
Was a no.
No. Okay, so we got 2 no's and a maybe. Remember this. Soil structure.
Was a no.
Okay. Plant roots.
Yes.
Okay. Biological diversity.
Yes.
Biopores.
Yes.
Okay, so how many do we have? 3 yeses and two yeses and a maybe, wasn't it?
yeah.
Well, or 4, 5 yeses and maybe. So do 2 or more indicators not meet assessment criteria? We'll say yes because we lost out on structure, right, and aggregates. So we've got, this is soil organism habitat loss or degradation. So we could have a potential issue with that soil organism habitat as long as there's still that mixing. Organic matter depletion, again, you got your cover and you say that's a no, so there's 1. Residue breakdown, you said was okay. Your aggregates was a 2, was a no. Structure, you said was 3, was a no. We already met. Do 3 or more indicators not meet? So organic matter depletion, you may have a potential issue with that. So that's something to monitor and has the potential to add some different practices to improve it. Aggregate instability. Get this bent around here. We got cover. Cover was a no or a yes?
Soil cover?
Yeah.
Was a
No.
It was a no, okay. Crusts, we said that was okay. Meats, ponding, and infiltration,
It was a yes.
okay. Water stable aggregates was the no, so we got 2, right? Okay, so when you read this first one, it says, is aggregate instability prevalent? So if you did that ag stab test first and it failed, you could automatically say that you have an issue. Or do 2 or more indicators not meet? We have already got 2, right? So aggregate instability could be an issue as well. So how many resource concerns do we have potentially?
We have all
here?
4.
We have all 4. So he could do something, you know, as Jay Furoy says, he could do better.
Yeah, he's not
He could do
doing
better.
he's not doing
He's
bad,
not
but
doing
he can do
bad,
bad.
but he could do better.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of. You guys have any questions about the sheet? I mean, I see your guys' sheet. It's extremely similar. So from a resource concern standpoint, it would not be hard to just take this sheet
Tie that
with
together
you
with it.
and tie it together, and then you would have your capability for CART for all of these questions that you have to answer. You know, how many yeses do you have? Because that in CART is tied to that, or it's also tied to the soil conditioning index. No, SCI. Yeah, soil conditioning
Yeah.
index. If that's positive or if it's negative, which I have a little bit of heartburn with, but that's just me. We'll move on. So I prefer to at least go in the field and do this because, you know, like I was talking with your state soil scientists, we both feel it's a little problematic because of some of the things that it's looking at as opposed to some of the things it's not looking at.
Gotcha.
So do you have any questions?
No, I think we're good.
It's clear as mud.
And we've
Clear as broken aggregates.
we've used our time.
Excellent. You guys did good. Was
Yeah.
it hard? No. All right, and it didn't take us too long if we weren't doing so much instruction, right? If you were doing it on your own, you could see it'd probably only take you 15, 20 minutes.
Minutes, yeah, it wouldn't take it.
Yeah, very good.
All right, guys, so we've finished up our second round of infield soil health indicators here at Dallas Wright's farm that he's been operating. So what I wanted to do was we actually used the National Soil Health Card here in Team 1, so I just wanted to kind of review what we saw going through the National Soil Health Card, and then we'll debrief with each of the groups here, kind of see how it compares a little bit. So it's similar to the Delaware Soil Health Card, but the indicators are broken up. There's a few more, and it's split up a little bit differently. So, but the first one here is soil cover. So similar to what you guys did, we actually, stood there. We didn't tape it out like we've done in previous sessions, but what we did was a visual observation of what that residue looked like, and using the tech note. Which has similar photos in it for percent residue cover like our Delaware Soil Health Card does as well. We actually found it was closer to 50% cover versus that is 75% or higher. So in this case, when it's below that 75%, it says surface covers from plants, residue, or mulch cover greater than 75%. It was obviously the answer was no. So that was our answer to question 1. The second one is looking at residue breakdown. Natural decomposition of crop residue, organic mulch is expected with crop and conditions. So we took a look at the site. We couldn't see, we saw maybe a few pieces of the prior year's corn, not this year's, but the prior year's in the rotation. and there was very little soybean, which we kind of expected. Typically, soybean residue doesn't hang around very long anyway. So we kind of gave it as far as the breakdown, looking at some of the stalks and stuff like that. Of course, obviously Dallas's field was just harvested. It wasn't, harvested as long ago as Jay's was. And there has been some disturbance out here with that vertical tillage as well. So we gave it a yes, maybe for residue breakdown in that case. The next one is surface crusting on no more than 5% of the field or the management unit. And we said yes, there was no crusting on this field. And typically, Phil, we typically don't see a lot of crusting anyway.
For the most part, probably most of our crop ground is too sandy. We just do not have crusting issues.
Yeah. The next one was ponding and infiltration. So we did a similar process that you guys did for infiltration. We dug the small depression in the soil 2 inches deep, filled it up with an inch of water and timed it. It was less than 5 minutes. So, obviously there was no ponding or infiltration issues in this field, so that was a yes. Penetration resistance, we obviously didn't use a penetrometer. We used our flags just like you guys did, and we found very little resistance. Most of them were down between 10 to 12 inches is where we started running into that problem. So we were yes on that. For water stable aggregates, what we did was we actually did the sink strainer process. So Carl actually grabbed a sample of the soil from an area that was grassed. So we used our field sample to compare it to that sample. And it did kind of slump a little bit compared to obviously the soil that's been under the grass conditions for a while. So we did give that a no as far as water stable aggregate. Soil structure, granular surface structure, and no platy or massive structure in the top foot of soil. We gave that one a no. We could see, obviously when he went through here with that vertical tillage, it kind of created that granular structure on top a bit. And, but once we got down below that layer, we were seeing consistently that blocky structure underneath. So that's why we gave that a no. Soil color was good. It was very similar. I thought it was a little lighter than what we saw over to Jay's, but it was still pretty good. So we gave that a yes. The next one's, excuse me, plant roots, roots covered in a soil film. Chris actually dug up a root ball, pulled it up, shook it a little bit, and you could see the sheaths on the roots on the root ball. And then obviously we could see other living roots throughout the profile, so we gave that one a yes. Biological diversity, it was kind of hit and miss. We saw several different things enough to give it a yes. But comparing this site to the site we come from previously, I felt that we saw a lot more earthworm channels and stuff like that at the previous site than we did here, but we did see enough to give it a yes. And then for biopores, we did see some earthworm channels, obviously not as much as the other ones. And we saw that, obviously we had multiple roots going through the system as well. So we gave that a yes too. So with the National Soil Health Card, there's a decision tree for the 4 major soil health indicators concerned. So we have compaction, soil organism habitat loss or degradation, soil organic matter depletion, and aggregate instability. So what we did was there's a decision tree that's on the back of this. So depending on how many yeses and nos you have, determine if you still have a potential issue with that or still have that resource concern on that field. So after going through each one of those decision trees, we determined that there is still a resource concern on this field. So it's not that he's not doing a good job, but like most of the fields that we see when we're doing our soil health indicators, there's always room for improvement. So, so that's kind of how this one differs a little bit from the one that we've been using. And talking with Candy and Carl and obviously we'll work with Phil, we might be able to tie this into our soil health card here as well.
Well, that's what we need to do, because I think TD or CART actually uses that decision tree as it goes through, and it's just a matter of making a corollary for it, and it's something we're working on right now, so that there's no confusion if you're using our card or you're using their card, and that's something.
I think yours matches up perfectly, so it'll be real easy.
Yeah,
to do.
and a lot of it's just terminology, and we can tie them two together. I think our card works a little quicker, and it's a little bit more tailored to this area. There are some things in the national, like we probably could have used the strainer aggregate stability, because down here our soils don't develop real good structure, and it's hard to tease out. But that shows you something pretty quick. It's a binary. It's a yes or a no when you make the decision whether or not that soil's slumping. And then we're looking at some of the finer structures that's starting to form up top. It's hard to see, but I think it shows well by using the strainer and their aggregate stability. And that's something we might look at putting back into ours as either a standalone or for doing the structure as aggregate stability.
So for Team 1 or Team Baxter or Team A, whatever you whatever we've been labeled, do you have any other comments about going through this card, Chris?
The biological diversity one was a challenge to me, because like you said, if I find 3 ants and 1 beetle and not a whole lot else, it could be a yes based on how we answered it, but I could see where there could be a disagreement on that. So yeah. I think there's some gray areas that we would refine from going through it more than one time. Chelsea,
I know you do a lot of in-field soil health assessments, so doing this one compared to the typical Delaware one, any
No, I think that they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to take a lot of the things from this one and combine it to add just more information into the tests that we're able to give producers.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they're pretty similar.
Okay. Karen or Jonathan?
Pretty good.
Good.
I thought everything was pretty easy to walk through.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I would add, Jamie, the other farm was interesting. It was very similar, well, same soil type, right?
Yeah,
similar rotation, similar machine work, but it was interesting to see how much more aggregate accumulation Jay had versus this farm. And as everyone noticed, there was much more aggressive turbo tilling here, and maybe that explains some of that, but I was surprised to see that difference.
Yeah.
Especially with...
There's additional difference. You got to think of biomass that's being generated. He's doing 140, 170 corn. Jay's irrigated. He's doing 240, 270. So he has a lot more biomass being pumped back down into the ground, where we don't have that here without irrigation.
Good point. I guess, Phil, for me, it was 20 years of no-till. I was expecting to see a little more aggregate formation.
I think it's just actually lacking in carbon. We're just not pumping as much carbon into the ground because of the lack of irrigation.
Yeah. And that was one of the comments that we kind of had with he's got that history no-till, but he is using that vertical tillage. He's just using that a traditional wheat cover crop. Could he diversify that wheat cover crop? Maybe move away from wheat, go to something.
That was our suggestion. He needed to do that, and believe it or not, we actually talked about what would be the benefits of doing irrigation, not only just from a yield standpoint, but generating more biomass to help generate more organic carbon for the microbes. Because talking about soil biota, and these type of soils which are unirrigated, they become very hot, very dry, and most of your microbes move out of the upper foot. These soils get way too hot and they start going deeper. So the time of year when you're looking at these soils and looking for these invertebrates in the soil, if you're in a drought, you're not going to find any. They may be there, but they're just below where we're looking at.
Yeah, that's why we say to look at those biological hotspots, because then that gives you that potential. I mean, if you can find those 5 different things, the pores, the pores, porosity, the biopores, the roots, the surface cover, and the aggregate surface, if you can find all 5 of those things, then your potential is there. It may just mean that they're not there yet, that they could be there.
They're not there yet, but they're leaving footprints that they were there already. Just because you have a drought going on and those bugs have left, the habitat's still there. Once you get the moisture back you get the temperature down, they'll rehabilitate it.
I mean, we see the same thing in Kansas. Western Kansas is about 5 times drier than what you have here. If we can find those, we know that for there, the potential is that they'll be there again at any given time. When they get more roots and they also have more rainfall, or a lot of that, we're losing water and we don't have less than 200 gallons per minute. You're not going to get water out the end of a pivot.
Right.
So they're either having to do just quarters and irrigate quarters and then do some dry land farming around that, or just go straight dry land. And then it becomes exponentially slower. So the walk is, not just, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back every given turn, because there's always potential for drought. Our old range con, David Kraft, always said, Kansas is either coming in a drought or going out of a drought. It was one of those two. So at any given time, you could be going backwards really quickly.
Yeah, we do get 44 inches of rain around here. Our soil's very light and sandy. And a lot of times you hear the old timers talk about we're 3 days away from a drought, because we just don't have the water holding capacity of heavier soils. And that's why you see a lot of center pivot irrigation down here.
Yeah.
We're blessed with groundwater, and financially it pays for them to irrigate. And it's a combination of 2 things. One, production. The other is it's hard to get land down here. So you can double your production on your farm just by adding irrigation.
So are there any questions about the infield soil health assessment, the national one?
From those 4 in there, did it focus in on any of the 1 of the 4, 2 of the 4 on that sheet you're looking at right there?
Yeah, on the matrix.
Did it tell you which of, was it compaction or aggregate stability?
Yeah, so for each one, so for example, for compaction, did you have ponding infiltration, penetration resistance, water stable aggregates, soil structure, plant roots? So is the surface soil platy, or do 2 or more of the indicators not meet assessment criteria? So we had 2 of the indicators not meet. So therefore, we still had a compaction resource concern.
Which was structure and aggregates.
Okay, all right. I just was curious if it helped you hone in on
Yes.
one thing to work on, or
Yeah, because the more you don't meet on any particular one, then you could kind of focus in. Okay, we need to, compaction would probably be not necessarily in this case, but for example, compaction might be the big one you need to focus on first, versus the other, soil organic matter or something like that. So,
And I think the compaction one probably wasn't as much of an issue because it was very slight to moderate compared to that aggregate instability, because there was more yeses that you could check off in those indicators than, or no's, they did not meet, than on any of the others. So I would say probably the aggregate instability is probably the biggest issue overarching everything else. So any of those indicators you can improve then. And doing it in more places in the field than we did, which was just one. If they all did it and they all kind of have similar, if everyone was doing the same thing at the same place or different places, then we'd have a pretty good cross section of what really is going on. But at that given point, that was the problem.
all right, we just wrapped up our infield soil health assessment here at Dallas Wright's farm.
We hope that you learned a lot from this course, and especially from our field visits, which are an integral part of the planning process. For more information, go to our website.
And thanks for joining us, guys.